You know, you may be able to get Obamacare, Obamacare, to pay for your rent or your housing. Actually, look at the story that I found in New York City. This is a woman where they're paying for her to have an apartment. And see, what they figured out was that to stay healthy, you really need a place to live, right? So the city, now it costs the city something like, $56,000 to take care of a homeless person. That's when they're going to the emergency room and, all this other kind of stuff that they need as, a homeless person, the social services. So if you give somebody an apartment, together with a doctor available and a social worker, and security and things like that, that only costs $54,000. So you're paying $54,000 if you give somebody a place to live, and it's costing you $56,000, if they have no place to live. So it's better to give people a place to live. So, and they're paying for it with the healthcare dollars, Medicaid. So Medicaid is paying for this. Like New York City, the state of New York is investing $260 million Medicaid dollars, for houses, apartments for people. So this is how you get the healthcare system to pay for your housing. Man, that's why I'm always learning something new about government programs. Who would have thought to look at Obamacare for your rent money? Oops, did I say $54,000 for these apartments that cost the government? No, it's $24,000. So the normal cost, for someone doesn't have a home in social services and emergency room and all this other kind of thing, is $56,000. To have an apartment with security and a doctor available and social workers is $24,000. So, pardon the old guy mistake, or maybe the stupid guy mistake. And to find out, if such a program is available in where you live, call 211 and ask for the Medicaid office, the local Medicaid, because that's where this money is being spent from. Medicaid is investing in apartments for people, so they have better health. Did you ever hear about the Instant Gratification Society? Well, it's going to be a great way to make little businesses all over. You can start without any money and have a booming business in no time. And actually, I read about this, and it makes sense when you hear about it, on a website called recodeit.net. Liz Gans. She wrote an article about, I want it now. People just want stuff immediately. So you start a business, a service business, which are the easiest businesses to start because you need nothing but a customer. You don't need investment or anything. Now, she's a freelance writer writing at home, and so she called one of these instant gratification economy businesses, and she gets her spoon rocket, it's called. She calls them up. 6 minutes later, she gets a chicken tamale and a mint smoothie delivered to her apartment. And it costs her like $14 or whatever. See, people want things fast. They want it now. And actually, there's a lot of money being made in these things. I mean, the guy who does the delivery, in the article, he'll make something like $50,000 a year just delivering. Like the pizza guys deliver. Well, this is all other kinds of things, that you could get delivered. I mean, this one guy, she writes about, he works for a service called Yum, W-U-N, Yum, maybe that's how I say it, Uber Rush, Zip Mints, or Petal by Pedal. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, a way to make $50,000 a year and just drive it around. Now, she also talks about an outfit in Palo Alto called DoorDash. So this is delivering food from restaurants. Man, and the restaurants that subscribe to this, a bunch of them are making $500,000 a year just delivering food that way. So now what do you think that you could deliver, because people just want stuff and they don't want to be bothered, and they want to act like rich people. So the middle class now want to act like millionaires and get things just delivered to them, and they can for a reasonable price, and you could offer it to them. Listen to some of the things that are out there now. Washio. This is somebody who takes your dry cleaning or your laundry or whatever you have and delivers it themselves instead of having the dry cleaners deliver it, if there is a dry cleaner that delivers. Or Home Joy, these are like Uber. Uber, these are people who, on your app, on your phone, you could go on your phone and you find somebody who give you a ride somewhere. It's a taxi, but it's cheaper and it's by people instead of some business. So this is the same thing, but for house cleaning. There's an app on your iPhone or any kind of phone, Android phone. Or here about this. How about Glam Squad? Like Glamour Squad? Glam Squad. People come and blow out your hair. Wow. So now if you're a hairstylist or something like that, you could go, develop an app like this and have it so people could call you. You just rush over, give them a blowout, and you're making good money doing this. I mean, there's nothing to it. Manservants, you're handy around the house. That's an app. See, you get hooked up with one of these apps and you deliver the service. You don't even have to develop the app. It's there. Or Uber for massages. So that's right. You come to the house and do massage. But see, on an app now, you could go and it's instant. Like you just put in your zip code and you get somebody within a few minutes because they're around. They're very well organized, the same way Uber is, or all these kinds of things are. So it's what's happening now. The instant gratification society. I want it and I want it now. So if you go to recode.net and look under Liz Gann's article about this, and you'll find more about it. These are opportunities. Where is the country going? What kind of services are going to be new? You don't want to go in the old stuff because that's not growing. And everybody has found out how to make money out of it, and there's no way to change it, and whatever. They're very happy. But in the new way, it's like the Wild West, and the opportunities are there. The opportunities are in the new stuff, not in the old stuff. Now, the banks always make money, right? Good times, they're making a lot of money. Bad times, they're making a lot of money. The economy fails, they're making a lot of money. The economy's good, they're making a lot of money. But I think their heyday is over. Man, the internet, it's just going to put a stop to all these things because there's easier ways to do this than having these big bureaucracies with overpaid people, managing a checking account. Now that's stupid. And now here are services now on apps on your phone that you could write checks and send somebody over the phone and it costs you nothing. So what do we need bankers for? I mean, we already do that with peer-to-peer lending, where you could borrow money at half the cost the bank is making and lend money for twice the percentage, the income you get if you give it to a bank to lend. So that's why I think they're on their way out, and the internet is changing so much, particularly in the financial industry, because there's a lot, of extra money slashing around there, just doing nothing. Now here's some interesting apps now that you owe a friend money, you could just on your app send them money and it goes into their bank account. They still have a bank account, but you don't have to write a check to do it. That's it. Now some of the major ones here, something called Venmo. And actually that's just been bought by PayPal folks, and they have a little app, that it charges you nothing to send money from your debit card or from your bank account to another person that's set up with that. So as a small business, if you're all set up with that, man, then that makes, transferring money back and forth, a lot easier than going through your bank. Now, if you use a credit card, that's when you get charged like 3%. But other than that, if you don't use a credit card, man, everything is free, and it's easier because it's right on your phone, and you just do it on your email address. Now, here's other people, Google Wallet, and they're even trying to be more than just transfer money back and forth. And it's going to be all your entire wallet on your phone. Man, it'll organize things better. Whether your credit cards and stores will start accepting that because they won't get gouged by the credit card company. Like when you buy my product, man, I'm giving so much to the bank to process credit cards and all this nonsense, which is stupid. And all they do is, just want more money from me, and they're making so much. So I'd be watching these things. And here's three of them: Square.com, Venmo.com, and Google Wallet. Man, and if you're looking for them or more other ones, I mean, there's like 20 of these. So if you Google them, you'll see other services like this. So Yeah, I think we could start saying a bye-bye to those fat cat bankers. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you just ran out of excuses not to have a college degree. Watch this interview. I think it's probably the best interview I've done. I've been doing this for about 2 years now. I must have 500 or 600 interviews already with specialists all over the world, actually. And this is a fellow who started something, the University of the People. It's a tuition-free online university. The guy has a heart of gold. He had an online university for profit in Liverpool for many years, did very well financially, and now he wants to make sure everyone gets a college degree. And he just got accredited. You go online and you see about these college courses you could take online or whatever. You're either going to spend $40,000 or it's free and you don't get any credit. Well, here these classes are very small, 30 people, 20, 30 people like that in a class. Get individualized attention. There's the people involved with this project are very prestigious. The UN, United Nations, is involved in this project. People from Oxford University, New York University, Indiana Institute of Technology, even the Department of Education. And it's a chance to get a degree, either an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree in business, general business, or computer science. Now, what's neat too, they're hooked up with large corporations to get you internships, jobs, and all kinds of help. I mean, it's just phenomenal. I just can't think of anything probably more important going on, in our universe right now than this. Somebody who found a way to give people an education, because you can't get there, where you want to go without it anymore. And it's so important. So this is free. Actually, the only cost is you have to pay $100 to take the exam. And then there's scholarships for that too. So it's like I said, you ran out of excuses not to get a college degree. It's flexible. You could do it on your own time. That's what's so neat. It's free and it's legitimate. Man, most of these universities out there that are charging outrageous fees or are making you take student loans that, man, you'll never get out of debt. It's just silly. This is free. So there's nothing more important going on. And if you don't want a college degree, learn about this so you can tell other people about this. They're just starting. The New York Times just wrote it up about their accreditation. This is an important thing that's happening. You've heard about online courses, everybody's selling them, but you haven't heard about legitimate ones for free. So watch this. Well, Shai Reshef, and I believe, Shai, that you just have the most important concept that we have in the world today, for the developed world, underdeveloped world, or whatever. I mean, education is so important. I believe in it. I think if there's anything you should spend money on, it's education. And that's the problem. People in this country have to spend too much bloody money for education and can't get it. And you came up with a free university. I mean, that's not only flexible and free, but legitimate. I mean, so many people out there without the yucky stuff saying it's free, but you have the UN involved, you have presidents of the biggest universities and educational institutions they're helping you guide your way through this because it's so important. I honor you for doing this, and what's in your heart that made you do this and help so many people?
Well, thank you. I spent 20 years in for-profit education. And among other things, I started the first online university outside of the US in Europe.
Wow.
We delivered the University of Liverpool online degrees. And that's where I learned, and it was for-profit at the time. And that's where I learned how powerful online learning can be. We had students from all over the world. They stayed at home, kept their job, but at the same time got this great education. So it was a great success. But I also realized that for most people, it was nothing but a wishful thinking. It was too expensive.
Ah. And
So I,
what is the price normally on an online course nowadays like that?
well, 30, $40,000.
Really? So online it's still 30,
Yeah,
40,000.
yeah. So, I ended up selling that university and the rest of my business to go into semi-retirement,
Ah,
just to realize that it's not really for me and that I want to continue. But it was also clear to me that I don't want to do more of the same. I felt, I have enough. I'm fortunate. It's my turn now to give back.
yeah.
And for me to give back, it must be in a way that will have an impact on the world. And how can you make an impact on the world? Clearly through education. Because when you think about it, when you educate one person, you can change a life. But when you educate many, you can change the world. So I looked around and I realized that everything that made higher education so expensive, was already available and for free. Open source technology, which is technology that anyone can use for free. Open educational resources, which is content that professors produce and put on the internet for the rest of the world to use for free. And the new internet culture of social networking, where people share, teach, and learn from each other for free. So I said, wait a second, all I need to do is to put it together and create a tuition-free university. So that's what I did. So University of the People is the first non-profit, tuition-free, accredited online university dedicated for qualified students who graduate high school but cannot afford going to college. And there are millions and millions of them around the world that cannot afford education either because of the price, and we know how insane the price here in the US of higher education. There are many places in the world that there aren't enough seats in the local universities. People take placement exam, either they're in or they're out. If they're out, it doesn't mean that they're not qualified. It just means that there is no seat for them. There are people who are deprived from higher education for cultural reasons, women in Africa as an example, and or political reasons, refugees. So we said there weren't a better reason for the invention of the internet than bringing the education to them. So that's what we do. We only teach business administration and computer science at this point. And because these are the two degrees that are likeliest to help them find a job and are likeliest to help their economies to get better. We teach the students in small classrooms, 20 to 30 students, to
I see.
ensure that
So
they
it's
get.
not a everybody, millions of people online or something. It's like the size of a normal class.
Yeah. It's the idea is that the kind of students that come to us, many of them come through hardship. Many of them didn't have previous experience in higher education. And if you want them to succeed, you really need to give them personalized attention. So we put them in classes of 20 to 30 students under the supervision of volunteer professors. So we can scale up, and we are going to scale up because our goal is to educate everyone. But we want to make sure that while we're doing that, we give the people the attention that they need to get.
So then you're so much different than like a MOOC who has a million people in the class, right? The
Well,
MOOC.
they have millions of people in the class, but they have about the same number of graduates as we do. No, I'm just kidding,
No,
obviously.
I think you're probably right.
I think that the MOOC is a great thing because it
Yeah, like
spread the
right.
knowledge everywhere. But the main difference between us and the MOOC is that we feel, the MOOC students, 80% of them are people with academic background, people with bachelor, master, or PhD. And even though only 5% of them complete a college
Wow,
course.
right.
Now, we feel that if you take our students and put them in this situation, they have no way to succeed. And our students do not need to complete one course, they need to complete 40 courses to get a PA. So we give them the support that they need in order to complete, in order to succeed, and we take them all the way from where they're coming until they get their degree. So it's a different setting.
But more importantly, then afterwards, I mean, you're already involved with people like Microsoft and HP, Hewlett Packard, and that have jobs and internships for people that you're graduating.
Right. Because what we should mention is that we are tuition free, but we are not free. We ask the student, they take the course for free. By the end of the exam or the course, we tell them, listen, the exam cost $100
Yeah.
per exam. We expect you to pay for it. If you don't, the students don't have the money, we'll give you scholarship. Because it is our
Ah,
mission that nobody would be left behind for financial reasons. So HP created scholarship for women, Western Union from students from certain countries, and actually Microsoft started partnership with us uh, to select 1,000 students in Africa. Those that are being selected are getting access to Microsoft certificate program, so to prepare them for the job market. While they study with us, they are being mentored by Microsoft employees, get internship with Microsoft and job opportunities upon graduation. So actually, it's taking the students all the way until employment. And, we love it and we are trying now, we're working very hard to replicate it
yeah.
because that's the very model that we would
Oh,
like to have.
that's so they're getting Microsoft certified also through the course. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. They are eligible to go through Microsoft certificate program to get certificates. So it's not only the academic education, but also the practical knowledge that they need
Right.
to get as well.
Well, that's I think now there's also you have associate's degrees also.
Yeah. We have associate and bachelor degree. And actually, we are now, when students sign up, we push them to start with the associate for two
Yeah.
reasons. First of all, in some places, associate is good enough.
Right.
But more than that, we want the goal
Yeah.
to be closer to them. And we tell them, listen, take it to your program, get your associate. Believe us, the second you get the associate, we'll try to convince you to continue toward the bachelor. But if you don't, at least you end up with associate and not with nothing. So yeah.
Right, nothing. No, that's beautiful. And so it's online. I guess the beauty of what you have small classes, so everyone's getting individualized attention. But you're getting like famous professors to teach for you for free, it seems. How do you do this?
Yeah, we have,
Do you have
I think
photos
that,
of their family or something that you?
what? Sorry?
I said, do you have nasty photos of all these people that you're going to show if they don't work for you or something?
They, I think that you know, everyone realized that the price of higher education is too high, and something should be done to cut the cost down. And actually, we are showing that it can be done, and we're building a model,
But
and
this is
we're
more
building a
than cutting
model,
the
or actually
cost.
running a model that show how it can be done. So they want to support us, they want to succeed. So we created, for example, a council of presidents that's chaired by John Sexton from NYU, include the Vice Chancellor of Oxford, the President of George Washington University, the Chancellor of Berkeley, and I can go on and on. Our provost is from Columbia, our deans are from NYU, and these people are our academic leadership. And they do all the work. And yeah, you can see their photos and their quotes on our website. And they're there because they believe in the mission and they want us to succeed. And I have to say that part of our success stems from their support. So yeah, it's a win-win.
You are, to me, you're doing God's work here, and the poor people out there who get bombarded by these for-profit universities to give them $40,000, and they have to go borrow the money to do it, is dreadful. And you have a wonderful opportunity for people, and not only for the average person who needs the education, but to show the damn education system what can be done.
Yeah. And as you said, we're building a model. We want to show, first of all, to universities that they can actually add zero to their numbers. Instead of 20,000 students, they can have 200,000. If we can do it, they can do it.
Exactly. They should be smart enough.
And the same is for countries. Developing countries which have a few millions, they build their Harvard. If inviting
Well,
me.
Shai, thank you so much. We're getting connection problems, and we better wrap up so we don't lose this
Exactly.
wonderful information for people.
Thank you.
you know, the world thanks you from my part and from my heart about what you're doing. And it's just great. Before I get emotional, I better say goodbye.
Thank you, and thank you for helping us spread the word.
I will continue to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Well, what do you do when you're a young couple and you have decent jobs, but you're working like heck, you know, for somebody else, and all of a sudden you have a baby? Now, how are you going to spend time with your baby and also to build something for your child and the family instead of working just for somebody else all the time and a paycheck? Well, here's a couple that decided to go on the internet and get $20,000 to get a breakfast truck. They got their own business because she loves to cook, and she cooks these little puff, you know, they're sort of like between a biscuit and a waffle, and they have breakfast inside of it, eggs and sausage and everything. So you can eat breakfast, you know, just with one hand. And they're doing a food truck. It's a way to have a restaurant business without having a restaurant. You can park it and don't have to open it if you don't want to. You know? And you're just in business when you want to. Plus you have something that you could grow. I mean, they see this as having these breakfast food trucks all over the country. You know? But they have to start somewhere. And they're in Atlanta now, and they're on the internet. And they when I spoke to them, they're about halfway in their goal, but they made it already since then. And they're on their way. And the most important thing, and you see the child in the video, is that doing something for that child and giving them the parents, instead of the parents leaving 6 o'clock in the morning, the kid at 2 years old goes to daycare and never see the child until 7 o'clock at night for an hour, and then the kid's asleep. You know, and boy, you're missing so much in life when you miss that child growing. So they figured out a way to do it. So see how they did it, how they went on the internet and got the money they needed to do a food truck. Man, that's where the action is nowadays. Nobody goes to restaurants, they go to food trucks. It's cool. Watch it. And actually you have a little Pop-Tart right next to you, right? And that's Lily.
Say hi.
Yeah. And Lily really is the reason that you're going on crowdfunding to raise money for your beautiful little puffs, morning puffs, you know, food truck, isn't it?
Exactly. She's the real reason we got started. We wanted to do something that was family fun and family based, and so she's our reason to get going.
Wow, so they're investing in your future, Lily's future, not only your
Exactly.
future, right? Right. This is Lily's figure. And I could see her in the truck eating all that stuff. She'll have a blast.
Exactly. She's gonna love it.
But you designed or invented or whatever these wonderful little puffs, and people really got to go on Kickstarter and see your video. And you can get there by thebreakfastgenie.com. And that will take you. You see, I mean, these are just remarkable new breakfast foods that no one ever thought about yet.
Exactly. It's something new that we invented. My husband and I came up with it in our kitchen, and we just thought we had to bring it to the world. And we're starting with Atlanta, but who knows?
And everywhere. So actually, so if I'm not in Atlanta, really, it would behoove me to help you guys get this truck. And actually, you're halfway there already. So but to help you get there, because then you're successful there, you could come to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where I grew up, or Washington D.C., and there'll be these breakfast trucks over everywhere. So it's the Breakfast Genie, because these are magic. I mean, they look like cream puffs, but they're breakfast, right?
They're breakfast. They're amazing. They're baked. They're not bad for you in that sense. They're just a special take, a unique twist on a waffle and a biscuit, and we put bacon and sausage in them. I mean, who's thought to even do that?
So you don't get that sawdust biscuit they have in these fast food places anymore, right?
Exactly. It's something a little different. And the best part about it, and the part, if you watch the Kickstarter video, you'll see in our daughter, the thing
that's
that she
great.
absolutely loves is that she absolutely loves to dip them in the different sauces that we have. We have homemade sauces, and you can dip them in whatever your option is.
Well, what kind of sauces? I saw a picture of the sauces. I didn't read what they were. What sauces do you have?
We have white sausage gravy that's homemade. We have syrup. We have warm maple syrup. We have orange marmalade, blackberry jams. We have all
Wow.
kinds of good stuff.
So really, you're fundraising now, for the bus. or the truck. So then these trucks, I mean, the food trucks in Atlanta, I mean, it's big business now, isn't it?
It's getting to be. It's getting to be. The market wasn't quite there, and really it was because of government restrictions, but they're starting to come around. So
Yeah, yeah, they will.
we're
They have
breaking
to,
the
man.
barriers down.
Yeah.
So we're coming. We're getting there.
It's like that in the DC, but now, oh no, they're all over. I mean, it makes sense. It's sort of like Uber and all that stuff. I mean, the traditional people have to realize change is coming, man. You know, and you've been in the restaurant business for a long time, and instead of opening up a normal kind of restaurant, why did you choose a truck?
We chose a truck because it was a little bit more flexible. It was easy for us to go to our customers and place to place. We're not restricted. And then on top of that, the financial barriers are huge as far as opening a brick and mortar. It's a lot of strain to put on a small family.
I would think hundreds of thousands of dollars, that you may or may not get back. Plus, it seems that you're married to some piece of real estate you got to beat to every day, right?
Exactly. So the best part is we can go from place to place, and we can open up ourselves to different markets, and we can bring our food to a lot of different people versus people having to drive a far distance to get to us.
So it's easier to grow a child, right, in your house.
In a way, yes, it's much.
Besides the muffins, yeah, or the puffs. I mean, that's a wonderful name for puff pastry. But see, you think of pastry, but this is puff breakfast, right?
Exactly. It's something different. We wanted to stick with the magical theme, kind of bringing in a really kind of start to a magical day. And we really just wanted to stick with that theme. I've been called, Genie my whole life. And so we just figured what better way to say it? It's the Breakfast Genie, and we're bringing you an amazing, awesome, magical breakfast.
But you enjoy, I mean, in your video, it tells you about how since you were a little kid, I mean, like Lily's age, you were in the kitchen messing around, huh?
I was in the kitchen messing around, it was all I ever wanted to do. So honestly, when it came time for me to start in the restaurant business, it felt totally natural, and it's something I've always wanted to do. And I left for a very short period of time when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I thought to myself, I got to get back in. This is what I love to do. This is what I want to do. So.
Okay, well, actually, now you designed a life where you can be with your child, and also you're developing an asset for the whole family, aren't you?
Exactly. And it's something that if Lily wants to take on, later in life, it's an idea that we're kind of creating a brand, and we're creating something fun that can hopefully grow and move on with us as a family.
Oh, that's terrific. I mean, to me, that's the ideal in life, is that because your family's so important, and you're, contributing professionally so important. So if you could do those together, man, there's nothing better in life.
Exactly. So that's what we're hoping to do, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Well, that's terrific. Well, so glad you're there, Gene. And I just can't wait to come in Atlanta and get a breakfast puff. But actually, the people who help you with the truck on the fundraising thing, I mean, you're getting, donut trays and recipes and all this kind of stuff. But it's really important, I think, just to watch that video so you could see what these things are really about. Because, I think they're so unique, and we need a new breakfast food badly. And this you could eat with your hand, right? You don't need...
Exactly. We're starting a campaign in Atlanta. It's called Ban the Fork and Knife for Breakfast.
Wow! Okay, you go to The Breakfast Genie, so that's JEANIE.com.
Yes.
And go to Kickstarter, watch that video, and help this lady out, because see, Lily needs it. She can't live without you.
It's for her future.
Thank you so much, Jeannie.
Thank you, Matthew, and good luck to everybody else out there.
Well, I want you to meet a 7-year-old. That's right, a 7-year-old who is going to put us all to shame. That's right, this 7-year-old had a buddy, and his buddy got a disease, and it was another 7-year-old buddy, and he needed an operation that could only be done in one place in the United States. And he needed $20,000 to be able to get this operation. And actually, so the child could walk even. So Quinn, this is the 7-year-old, man, he became a superhero. He said, I'm going to get a lemonade stand and get money for his buddy to get the operation. And his mother said, well, that's nice, Quinn, and didn't just encourage him, but didn't believe him. The kid got $20,000 from a lemonade stand, just in like a few days. Then he got $60,000 total on the internet for his buddy. Wow. I mean, a 7-year-old child could see a problem and not get anything stand in his way to solve the problem. I mean, that's what problem solving is all about. And he's put all the rest of us to shame. I mean, I watch that and I feel, boy, my life is nothing compared to what that kid's doing. Sees a problem, figures out a way to solve it, and just goes and does it. Most of us will be convinced there's 15 reasons why we can't do this. See, this kid doesn't have an education, and all the people who convince them that it can't be done. He just goes out and does it. That's what's neat about the honesty of young people. They're wise. They know what's good and bad instinctively, and they just go out and do it. When we get too educated for our own good and think of 1,500 reasons why something can't be done and blame other people for everything and why it's not done. God, look at Quinn, 7 years old. He put on his Superman cape and went out. And actually, I sent him a Superman cape because I believe this is a superhero in our society. Somebody who sees a problem someone else is having and doesn't complain or get somebody else that goes out and solves that problem himself. What more can a superhero be than to see a problem that someone else is having and go out with themselves to solve that problem? Quinn is our superhero, and puts the rest of us to shame. Boy, I wish I could be like Quinn. Watch this. Well, Heather Romney, and I think that you are just like a superhero in our lives. I mean, here you are. Well, it's really your son, Quinn. What is he, 7 years old?
He is 7 years old. Yeah.
And his buddy, Braden, is it?
Braden, yeah.
Braden has cerebral palsy, and he could get an operation that you're in Canada, this operation in the States, and they needed $20,000. And you went online to help your son, Quinn, raise already $60,000 so his friend can have this operation. I mean, I just can't think of anything more important we need in life is more of you and Quinn. Now, if everyone else could leave the planet and we have more people like you and Quinn, then, man, we'd have a great place here.
Well, thank you. That's very nice.
But it is. I mean, it's just terrific. And Quinn was really the one who wanted to do it, huh?
Yes, it was completely his idea. He came to us and he said, I want to start a lemonade stand. I want to raise money for Braden. He had seen him do physiotherapy and saw how painful it was. And I said, okay, but if you want to raise that much money, we have to advertise. So we need to put it on the internet and get our friends and family that can't make it here to the lemonade stand to donate.
So when you went on the internet, you found this site that helped you, right?
Exactly, ucaring.com, and it was a free thing for us to set up, and they didn't take fees unless you wanted to donate some of the donations, and we set it up and linked it to our Facebook and started sharing it, and when the media picked up the story, it's been shared all around the world.
Wow. So really, you had down the street, you had a lemonade stand then, right? With you and Quinn doing that. And people came up and gave you $20,000 just at the lemonade stand, huh?
For $23,000 on the one day.
Wow. And so you took that cash and put it into the fundraising on the site, on You Caring. And you say You Caring doesn't even charge you, doesn't take a percentage of anything unless... No. You say you want it, yeah.
No, if a person chooses to donate to us, there's an option for them to make a small donation to You Caring. It's optional.
I see.
And that goes to the operating costs.
Wow, that's it. Now, how long did it take you to set up the site?
Maybe less than an hour, maybe half an hour.
So an
Very
hour or a half hour of your time, you're able to raise $60,000, and it was your 7-year-old Quinn who decided the lemonade stand, and you had people driving by and give you $23,000. Wow, what a life we live in! It's just wonderful. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, what does Quinn think? I mean, that must be incredible.
he says that it's the most successful lemonade stand that anyone's ever had. And he's incredibly proud of himself for helping his friend. And
Oh.
the most amazing thing to me is that through this whole thing, all the publicity he's had and all of the positive comments, not once has he asked for anything in return.
No kidding. Wow. So, I mean, it must empower him so much to see as a 7-year-old how he can solve problems in life, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, so anytime he sees a problem, just go to it. That's why, to me, he's a superhero. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send Quinn a superhero cape.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I had these made up for people like Quinn, you know, who really go out and fly around and just see a problem and solve it. We need more people like him to do this. So I'm going to send him a superhero cape so he knows that, man, he is appreciated. Man, if everyone was like Quinn in this world, we'd be finished with problems and bored as hell. But but I mean, the power it gives him now to see that he can do it. I think most of us, by the time we get older, we think, oh, we can't do that. You know, we know 1,500 reasons why we can't do it. You know? And you probably wouldn't do it, and still Quinn made you find this, right?
Honestly, that's how I thought when he told me. I patted him on the head and I said, "That's nice, sweetie." And I said to my husband, if we're lucky, we'll make $1,000 from our friends and family, and that will help towards the surgery cost. But we had no clue, and not once did he ever waver. He said, "Mommy, I'm going to do it," and
Wow.
we doubted him, but now
Wow.
you know what? He's made a believer out of us too. That
Right.
it can
So
be done.
he's going to be Prime Minister of Canada one of these days. Huh? Well, how about his friends? I mean, the relationship changed with all his buddies, other 7-year-olds and all?
I think with Braden himself, their relationship is as strong as it can be.
I see, yeah.
And Braden's family as well, that it's brought us all closer. We've got to know his extended family quite well.
Yeah.
And with Quinn's friends, both of the boys belong to Beaver Scouts. And
I see.
my husband and I are the leaders of the Scouts.
Oh,
and,
I see.
it was really nice to see the boys and the girls come down and support Quinn and Braden on the day of the lemonade stand, and all the words of encouragement we've gotten from the website as well as on social media.
So people like outside your neighborhood even gave you money and stuff like this?
We had money donated on the website on You Caring from as far away as Australia,
Wow.
Ireland, the United States,
Wow.
UK, Belgium,
Wow.
Greece, all over the world.
So Braden has cerebral palsy, and it's tough for him to move around without his braces, and he can't put his feet flat, things like that. So this is a procedure that's not in Canada, but it's in the United States that could more or less fix it pretty easily too, right?
The difference is in Canada, the surgery would be quite invasive, and he would have to spend about 6 months in a wheelchair and doing very painful rehabilitation. Where in the United States, it's done as a day surgery, and he will literally walk out of the hospital.
I mean, in and out in a day, and he walks out?
In and out.
Wow.
He'll be able to do his rehabilitation.
He'd be 6 months in bed in a body cast, you said, too, or something?
Yes, in a wheelchair, and then very painful rehabilitation that could leave him wanting to stay in the wheelchair.
I see. Oh, because it was too hard just to even rehabilitate, huh?
Exactly. Very painful.
Oh gosh! Well, what a champion you guys are. I mean, I just think, you know, and the internet, to me, I mean, how technology also helped something like this happen, because you wouldn't have doing your lemonade stand. You know, it was hard to get 23 grand before the internet, huh? so being able to use technology, and I would think you too now probably realize the power that you have with these tools now. Yeah,
Absolutely. And what amazes me is that how the story was picked up and spread around the world. And we've heard from news agencies all over the world, Japan, China, all over. And the best part is that we've had nothing but positive comments, which is so refreshing.
Wow. Well, how can you not have that? And you still have all this international media, and you're still talking to a little guy like me.
Well, that's a big deal in our lives.
Well, that's awfully sweet of you, and I really appreciate this so much. And that's why, to me, it's you're also showing other people how this can be done, and I think that's a wonderful message you have as an individual to encourage other people. We all want to sit around and complain about life, and blame it on other people not solving problems. When we go out and solve them ourselves, if Quinn can do it, we all can do it.
Exactly. A little 7-year-old from Canada can raise over $6,000. We can all do it.
Well, he's going to show us all up. Well, thank you so much, Heather, and give my best to Quinn and tell him, look in the post that this is becoming, okay?
I will tell him, and he will be thrilled.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again, and you go to, it's youcaring.com, and you just search for My Buddy Braden, Brayden. So that's youcaring.com. Go to My Buddy Braden and help Quinn. Let's make him a superhero.
Thank you so much for having us.
You bet. Take care. And say hello to your husband there. If you want to know what entrepreneuring is really all about, watch this next video. I interviewed this woman who runs a nonprofit organization that gives loans from individuals like you and I to people in Africa and Asia to start businesses. And she started like 7,000 people to start businesses, raised over $2 million. See, you go on the site and give $100, you see the person in that country wants the money, what they want to do, and you communicate with them, and they need $100 to start like a cell phone company. See, in these underdeveloped countries, all you need is 2 sticks and an idea, and that's what entrepreneuring is about. Here, we've come to the idea, boy, I need $1 million to start a business. Well, some businesses you do, but a whole lot, and most, I think, you don't. Even in this country, you see the people, the whole story about starting a business in the garage with nothing. That's how things start. And now with the services, the service economy, and the internet, you don't need $1 million. You could start businesses even in this country for $100. But now what she's doing is so exciting because she's taking people out of poverty. She's taking people, getting them education, and getting money for you to do something with your money that really helps somebody grow their life. Where else could you do $100 like that? Man, fancy meals cost $100 in this country. Here, $100 for a meal could start a business or start a restaurant in another country. And that's what's exciting. And then to learn about what it really takes to become an entrepreneur. And plus, what she's doing, the rate that the person who gets the money has to pay for the money is a fraction of what the big banks or the NGOs, nonprofit organizations that help people like this are charging over almost 30-40% interest, and she charges just a fraction of that. And because she's just getting interest for you to get 5% or 10% or whatever on your money, and that's it. See, and so she's an entrepreneur in starting something like this, and because it's the internet makes this happen. That's what happened. This is why the internet is changing our world, not only our world, everybody else's world, in the world, because of this internet. And she worked for traditional NGOs, nonprofit organizations, helping people in underdeveloped countries, improve their existence. Now she said, with the internet, I can help people start businesses in these countries. And she even works with mostly all volunteers. There's like 1 or 2 people in her whole organization that raised $2 million already. 7,000 people. That's the number of projects she has on her site already. because all this peer-to-peer, you go on the website, you say, hey, that's interesting. This person makes wonderful clothes and she wants to start a store or a clothing business or something. For $100, she's in business, and you can make that happen. What power! What power the internet gives us. We sit here and so spoiled in our society think we need $1 million to have power. No! You can affect a life just with $100, $50, $10 even, $1. But more important, watching these people start a business, you will understand even here you don't need a whole lot of money to start a business. What you need is desire. So watch this. Well, Julia Cornea, right? And you're the founder and chief bottle washer and inventor of a website called Kadisha Kadisha.org, because you're a nonprofit, right? That really helps people in underdeveloped countries really become entrepreneurs, for very little money. Like you could send $100 to, someone in Benin and they could have a thriving business. And all it takes is that, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us how can we help you do this? I mean, it sounds like, and we get the money back. So it's a lending program. And instead of going through some NGO that's going to charge big overhead and everything, you've cut out all the middlemen and make it better than anybody else is doing anything like this out there, right?
Yes, Kadisha was the first in the world to apply a direct person-to-person lending model internationally.
Wow.
So connecting directly to a person in Africa or Asia, and you can finance their business.
Wow. So now, I mean, there's similar kind of groups trying to do the same thing, but the overhead, because they have large organizations or banks involved and things like this, that the poor people trying to get $100 may cost them $35 to get the $100, right?
Yes. Worldwide, the average interest rate paid for these small microloans is about 40%.
The average interest rate is 40% on a microloan.
Yes.
Wow, that's like the mafia.
Even at Kiva, when you're financing the loans at zero interest, the end borrowers are paying an average of 35%.
So on Kiva, an end borrower, and that's another NGO kind of thing that is helping people in underdeveloped countries be entrepreneurs, and they're paying 35% on Kiva. Wow, and there's no interest in a way. That's just like middleman fees, huh?
Yes, those are. That's what it costs to administer traditional loans with loan officers on the ground.
Wow.
Traditional microfinance is really expensive.
I see. So now, so now you've done it like peer-to-peer. So I go on your website and I see, the woman or the guy or whoever wants a little cell phone company or was selling cell phones that I could, looking for $300. I almost talk to him directly, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and we could communicate directly right on your website to the person getting the money. But then the money seems to go through a bank also. Is that correct?
No, we bypass all local banks, and so you're connecting directly to the borrower. You dialogue and talk to them directly. The money is sent directly to them, and no bank intermediary is involved in the process.
No bank. So how many? If there's no banks involved, so you just electronically he gets the money on his cell phone or his bank account or something like that, or what?
Yeah. For most of the loans, we actually use mobile phone-based payment services, which means we can electronically send money to the cell phone of a nomad in Africa. In fact, a nomad in Kenya who lived over a day's journey from any bank received our first Kadisha loan. It was all...
Wow. So a nomad in Africa could get his money on his cell phone, and I can't even do that here in Kensington, Maryland.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So electronically you do that through systems like they have in these underdeveloped countries, because people have cell phones and nothing else, right? So
yes.
They're able to get this money. But more importantly, you got 7,000 projects that you've already financed, worth over $2 million. Man, we going to get rid of the World Bank now because of you, or what?
Yes, it's really exciting because our our loans cost so much less to the borrower, but the lenders can still earn interest, and that's because we get rid of the intermediaries.
What now? How much turns bad? Do you have a feel for that yet, or what?
We estimate a repayment rate of about 90 to 95% for loans currently being made.
Wow, 95%. But all the loans are not very big, so it's not a big individual loss. I mean, that sounds like the SBA loans is worse than that.
In fact, you can lend as little as $1 to each loan, so it's very easy to diversify.
Wow, London. And then you also have groups, what is great on your site. You have groups of people that get together. I mean, some of these groups, like alumni associations, or you have an atheist group, and all kinds of affiliated people, or people like who traveled to underdeveloped countries before and thought it was neat when they saw poverty to try to help them as a group. And they're contributing hundreds of thousands of dollars by just organizing themselves together.
Yes, and often the amount per person is very small.
Right, that's what I mean. So, but you group it together, man, and you're really making an effect on it. I mean, you sending $100,000 to a village in Africa, man. That must be a real game changer in town.
And $1 or $100 loan in Africa goes so much farther than the same amount in the United States.
Wow.
For the cost of a nice dinner in New York, you could start an entire restaurant in Kenya.
That's interesting. The cost of dinner in New York, I could start a restaurant in Kenya. That's amazing. I think about my zip code here. People who are getting Social Securities, millionaire lawyers are getting Social Security, a month or like $2,500. Man, a kid could go to college for that, and it's 3 meals for them downtown at some fancy restaurant.
Speaking of college, many of our borrowers are actually university students, and they're either supporting themselves with small business to put themselves through school, or they're actually paying their tuition with a $200 loan.
So it's better than the gangsters here in this country are lending money. These banks, for student loans are terrible because what they've done to these people. So now you're able to put it this, and it's really peer-to-peer. An individual person lending money to an individual person, in a foreign country. It's not much money to any individual here, but it's so significant to their life there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But what's interesting about your organization, more so than that you figured out a way to cut the cost by 30% or more, is that you run a lot on volunteers, so you have wonderful people that are helping you in this country, other countries or whatever, that see the need and the importance of what you're doing and are willing and able to volunteer their time just to help in any way, it seems.
Yes. Our organization is run by volunteers. I was a volunteer for years, and today I and one web developer are the only permanent staff members.
And everybody else is volunteer.
It's like Wikipedia in that respect. We have many people collaborating to build this organization.
But it also, I think, a volunteer for a group like this, to me, seems like you're developing a skill. I mean, God, where else can you get a skill in financial, interpersonal relationships, overseas development? I mean, learning about other countries. Man, what are you going to do? Work part-time as a barista somewhere where you could get experience like this? Man, is invaluable as a volunteer for you guys.
Yes, it's an invaluable experience for the volunteer, and it's a way to make a huge impact in the world.
Well. I mean, and to see what's going on in the world, and especially a place like Africa, man, they're supposed to double in size in the next 30 or 40 years or something like that, and they're going to be the next big player in this universe. And more of us have to learn about it. And not only are you helping us learn about it, but you're helping us help them grow efficiently, and it takes very little money to change a life there, and it's just wonderful what you're doing, and I'm so glad that we have someone like you doing this and educating the rest of us about how important this work is. And so if people want to help in any way, if you want to give $1, that's going to go a long way to help somebody start a business in the countries you're in, or just some of your time. You say like 2 hours a week is enough, right?
Yes.
To help. Well, that's wonderful. So you go to Zadisha, that's ZIDISHA.org. Don't go to .com, go to .org, right? Because you're not one of these fat cat banks lending money. Because I see, all these big commercial banks are trying to get into this business. You know what's going to happen then. Yeah, it's going to be a lot more expensive than you guys are doing. Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Julia. Fun to have you there, and thanks for doing this work. And I hope people realize how important what you are doing is for everybody, not just yourselves when you give. That's why I think it's so selfish to give, because it feels so good. Thank you again, Julia.
Thank you.